Guys, it is our third day here in the Potomac Highlands of West Virginia, and we just had a wonderful breakfast at the Bright Morning Inn right before we checked out. And before we head over to the National Wildlife Refuge in the Canaan Valley State Park, we're going to do a little bit of geocaching this morning on the heart of the Highlands Trail system. This trail system actually connects the National Wildlife Refuge, Davis, Canaan Valley State Park, and the Blackwater Falls State Park to one another. So if you wanted to walk between all of them, you could. So we're going to do a little bit of walking this morning. So the one nice thing about the geocaching app, because we have premium, is that you can download which caches you want to go to and it saves a map of them, so when you don't have phone service you can route to them. So we've been doing that this entire trip because the phone service hasn't been very good here, and it's been very convenient being able to still get to our caches. So this one's a really cute container. It looks like a little foot. It's kind of difficult to find. It's very well hidden, but one of the things that people do with geocaching is that they will leave and take some what we call swag. So for this trip we decided to make some swag for people. So we made these little keychains. We just got some beads and twine and made them. So I think we're going to leave this one in here and see if anybody says in the comments if they pick it up or not. Have our second successful geocache find today, and on the app it'll tell you if there's a trackable inside or not, and on this one it said that there was a trackable, but it was deposited there at the beginning of June. And sometimes what happens is that people won't log that they picked it up, or they won't log that they took it to another location, so we were kind of skeptical if it was actually still here, but it was. So this guy is a little skeleton frog, and he's very cute. And then there's other little trinkets on this same keychain, but it was a nice little find and surprise. So this spring is named after Bill Weimer. In the late 1800s, he was really influential in the local logging industry and ended up serving as the local mayor and fire chief for over 40 years. And at one point, this little spring had his name engraved on it, but over time, it's kind of worn away. So we found a little geocache that was up by the water here, and this one is very nicely camouflaged, and let's see what we have inside. There's the paper and a couple little pebbles. It's a nice one. It's nicely made. Yeah, and this one, where it was located, it was on such a steep hill that we decided to bring it back to the car to fill out the log, and then hopefully when no muggles are around, we're gonna run it back up to its hiding spot. All the logs have dates on them, and someone found this cache just today, so we're adding our names to this list too. Okay, so now we're exploring Canaan Valley State Park, which is just south of Davis and close to some other natural areas like the Wildlife Refuge. And this is a really cool site because there's a lot of things that you can do. There are trails that you can hike, and there are a lot of different habitats that you can explore. There are forests, bogs, and meadows with a lot of beautiful wildlife that you can see. There are also places for you to mountain bike. You can ski here in the winter time, and this is also considered a resort, so you can stay on the property. They have things like golfing and other family activities that you can do. So the state park offers so much for you to explore, and we're excited because today we're going to do a bit more hiking. We're going to do some geocaching here on the site and see what else we can find.
So the trails that we're walking on now are part of what's called the Wildlife and Wetlands Trail System, and there are over 6,000 acres of wetlands in the Canaan Valley, and so we get to enjoy some of them here today. It's got a lot of really unique plants and animals that you can see. There's also another trail system called the Walk or Ride, which is great for either walking or riding your bike, and there's another one called the Ridgetop and Valley Floor, which allows you to either go up to the a higher elevation where they do a lot of cross-country skiing, or you can go down closer to the river. We found our first geocache here at Canaan Valley State Park. It's a nice big one. It had a lot of interesting things inside, including a DVD and a lot of interesting little trinkets. This one was a little challenging because we were starting to lose signal, and so we had to follow the directions that were listed on the cache listing. But we were successfully able to find it, and now we're going to go try to find another one.
Okay, so we made it to the overlook on the Mill Run Trail, and when most people think of an overlook, most people think of the kind of overlooks that we saw yesterday where it's a really rocky, looking into the valley at the top of a mountain. But this is kind of a different overlook because we're overlooking one of the wetlands and the meadows here. So it kind of shows that like this area has different vegetation. One of the nice things about this trail is that we're able to see the different habitats. Before we were walking through more of the forest, and now we can see more of the wetland and meadow habitat. And while we were looking around, we actually saw blue heron, which was really pretty to see because it was flying, and you could see how big its wings were when they're standing in the wetlands. They look small and skinny, but it was cool to see it fly.
So we've been really enjoying walking through the meadows here at the park, and sometimes it's easy to mistake grasses and other plants that are in an area like this as being weeds, but these plants are actually really supporting a lot of animals and insects. We're seeing birds flying around, a lot of butterflies and grasshoppers, and so it's really important that these sorts of habitats are preserved and replanted in areas where they had been previously destroyed.
So the one thing that we've really been struck by on our hike throughout this area of the park is how diverse the habitats are. We've been walking in and out of meadows, wetlands, different types of forests. When these two habitats meet, like here we have a meadow meeting with a forest, it creates an edge zone where there's a really high density of diverse species here because of the animal groups from each habitat crossing into one another. We made it to another geocache here at the Canaan Valley State Park, and this one was really nice because it was placed by the state park, and on the trailhead they actually have a sign that says that there's a geocache placed along this trail. So it's actually a pretty quick and easy find, and it's pretty well maintained. They had a nice big bag of all the swag that I think we're going to leave another little keychain here, hopefully for somebody to take and find.
Okay, welcome to the Canaan Valley National Wildlife Refuge. This is a nature preserve that's under the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, so it's sort of like a national park or a national forest, but its main focus is wildlife conservation. And this park here is really unique because it's part of the Canaan Valley. The Canaan Valley has a really unique ecosystem. Back during the time of the Ice Age, the glaciers didn't quite reach here, but the cold did, and so a lot of the plants here adapted to this cold environment. So today you can actually find plants that you would find up in Canada, and so you can make connections between those two places. So you get to see some of the wetland habitats here, and the Canaan Valley is unique because it encompasses more wetlands than in the entire state of West Virginia. These wetlands support a wide variety of species, and thankfully they are preserved here at this wildlife refuge. had a wonderful time exploring West Virginia's Potomac Highlands. From the depths of smoke-hole caverns to the crags of Seneca Rocks, the wind-blown plateau of Dolly Sods to the rushing rivers of Blackwater Falls, and the beautiful varied landscape of the Canaan Valley. We look forward to visiting again and hope you can explore sometime too. Thanks again for watching.